Your first question is a missing number question, so it's a number line. Right, so we got between 300 and 400. First thing you should do is count the steps. How many steps is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in 5 steps, it's gone up 100. What must each step be worth? 20. Good. So if that's 20, what number are we on when we land there? This one? This one? And the one it wants? 380. Straightforward multiplication questions. First one is anyway. 8 times 7. 56. Hopefully you all know that one from your times table squeeble work. If you don't, you should be counting up in 8s until you've got 7 on your fingers. If you needed to, you could have wrote them all down. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56. You could have done it that way. Next one's a little bit trickier because it's a missing number question. And as I've said to you in the other video, let's go backwards. What's the opposite to multiply? Divide. 54 divided by 9 equals something. So in other words, if you count up in 9s, what do you get to when you get to 54? What are you on? All right. So you're going to go 9, 18, 27, 36. What are we on? What number are we on?
4.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're on 4. It's not 4. It's not 5. The answer is 6. Right, there's nothing there anyway. Right, here we go. Coordinates question. Pretty much guaranteed there'll be a coordinates question in there. Right. When we're reading coordinates, which way do we go first? Across the x-axis. Right, the coordinates for the 4 points. So it's saying the diagram shows 3 of them for a rectangle. So we've got one there. We could join them up if you wanted. One there. Dodgy wonky line. One there. So where is the fourth one going to be? Tell me when to stop. What, there? There. Right. So let's put that one in first. So we do a nice little circle first. And now we've got a point to find. Which way do we go first? Across or up? Can't hear you. Good. We're going to go across first. We're going to stop on this line. How far are we going to cross? 1. How far are we now going to go up? 4. Easy. It's working. Right, take 4. You're pretty much guaranteed, that there's going to be a data handling question on the test. Right, first one, it says, how many people went on Friday? Easy peasy. We read up the Friday bar, up the Friday column, if you like, and we can see that it's halfway between these two lines, which is halfway between here. So, if we're halfway between 50 and 60, what is the answer? 55. Highlight this box if you got it wrong. How many people went on Saturday? How many more people went on Saturday than went on Wednesday? So now we've got a bit of a takeaway sum. Because what it's asking us is what's the difference between this one and this one? This one's easy, it lands on the line. How many people went on Saturday?
40.
How many people went on Wednesday? 15. Take away 15, what's the answer? 25. Highlight the box if you got it wrong. Take 2 on question 5. Right. Write these numbers in figures. 8,021. It's trying to catch you out because it hasn't got 100 in it. If you wanted to, you could write out your hundreds, tens, and units and thousands thing. And you've got 8,021. What goes in the gap? 0. So the answer is 8021. Next one. Units, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, 100,000s, millions. Oh, I can't quite squeeze it in. Move it. Millions. So if it was a million, it'd be 1. Then we put a comma every 3. There. Okay? So if we're counting up in 100,000s, right, and you think of a million being 10 100,000s, what's half of 10? 5. So it's 5 lots of 100,000s. So there are 500,000s in half a million. Tricky one. So the answer, 500, comma 000. Okay? Highlight the box if you got it wrong. Another question that we need to kind of work backwards on. Alright? So you've got 714 multiplied by 139 equals 99,246. And what's basically they've put now? They've put the answer at the other end. So if they put the answer at the other end, we're going to have to go backwards down the sum. Okay? If we're going to go backwards down the sum, we're going to go the opposite way. What's the opposite to multiply?
Divide.
Divided by 714 equals 139. Okay, it says write the symbols, not any numbers, and we put 2 symbols in. It's just a number backwards, it's the sum backwards. Divide by 714 equals 139. Right, next one. So it's got some folders. Full price £1.25. Special offer 4 for £4.25. How much cheaper is it to buy 4 using the special offer than full price? So first thing we need to do is we need to work out how much it would be if you bought 4 at full price. So £1.25 multiplied by 4. 4 lots of 1. What's 4 lots of 1? 4. What's 4 lots of 25p? £1. So what's 4 plus 1? 5. So it's going to cost you a £5 if you don't use the special offer. Okay? But using the special offer, you can get 4 for £4.25. So you've got £5. Take away £4.25, and then that will give you the answer. Or you can count up from £4.25 to a £5. If you don't want to do that, you're going to do the takeaway way. You're going to have to borrow from there to there, and you're going to have to borrow from there to there. 10 take away 5. 9 take away 2. 4 take away 4. The answer? 75p or £0.75, 0.75 pounds, but it's asking for it in p, so we've got to give it to them in p, and the answer is 75p. Next one, 50% of 190. 50% of 190. What's 50% the same as? Half. So you're going to halve it, like we were saying about the paper before. So you've got 190. Split in to 2 boxes. If you wanted to, you could split the 100 first. If we split the 100 first, how many are we going to have in each box? 50. And then we've got 90 left. Let's split the 90 up. If we've got 90, how many are we going to put in each box? 45. And then we've got a 50 and a 45 in each box. What's the total in each box? 95, good. This one's a bit trickier. 20% of something equals 8. 20% of something equals 8. I'm going to have to shrink this because I'm going to probably need a bit of space for this one. 20% of something equals 8. Right? When we've got percentages, what's the total? If you had the whole of something, and we're talking about percentages, what's the whole of it? 100. Alright? So you've got 100 is the whole, and you split it up into 20s. How many groups have you got? 5. All right, and then each one has got 20% in it. Okay, do you understand that? Yes. Yep. So if we've got 5 pots, like that, it's supposed to be equal size, but we can imagine. And we've got 20% of a number equals 8. So what it's saying is, if you've got 5 pots and you've divided a big bag of sweets into those pots, the answer for each person in each pot would be 8. Right? So you've given this person here 8, this person here 8, this person here 8, this person here 8, this person here 8. Okay? You get it? And what it's asking is, how many sweets are in the bag? 20% of what number gives the answer 8? So what number divided into your 5 pots to give each person 20% gives you the answer 8? So what is 8? Add 8, add 8, add 8, add 8. Or what is 8 times by 5? 40. So the answer?
40.
Pardon?
40.
40. Similar to the fridge and the freezer question on the last test paper, you've got a question that takes you between, like, over from positive to negative. There will be a question similar to this one, right? It's more or less guaranteed. So the winter temperature, -2. The summer temperature, 10. Goodness me, that's not very warm. Oh, the sea temperature. I was going to say. Want to get me in there then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's an amazingly accurate number line. And what it's saying is how much colder is the temperature in winter than in summer. So in other words, what's the gap between this one and this one? So from 10 to 0, the gap is quite clearly, pardon? 10. And then from 0 to -2, the gap is 2. So the whole gap is 12 degrees. Highlight this box if you got it wrong. A money question. Some children make cakes to sell. Should always make cakes. Bring them in for your teacher. Never mind selling them. Here are the costs of the ingredients. Flour £1.50, butter £4.50, eggs £3.50, sugar £1.50. They make 40 cakes and sell them all at 50p each. How much profit do they make? Goodness me, this is quite a tricky one if you panic. Are you going to panic?
Yeah.
No, you're not going to panic. No, it's the answer I'm looking for. Again, it's going to give you a point for marking, a point for your workings even. So let's see if we can get some points, even if we get it wrong. Right? They make 40 cakes with this amount of kind of spending. Alright? So first things first, we need to work out how much they've spent altogether. So we've got £1.50, £4.50, £3.50, and £1.50. Everything's 50. Let's add up the zeros. This is going to be tricky. 0, add 0, add 0, add 0. 5, add 5, add 5, add 5. 20, 0 again, and we carry the 2 over. 1, add 4, add 3, add 1, add 2. 4 add 1 is 5, 8, 9, 10, 11. What have they spent?
£11.
So they've spent £11. Right? So their outlay is £11. Now we need to work out what their income is. Alright? Similar to when Mrs. Blackburn cheated last year in the entrepreneurial year. I'll never ever forgive her for that. Alright? Because her outlay was 0, so therefore she cheated. Just putting that out there on YouTube just so we make it official. So, 40 cakes at 50p each. 40 cakes at 50p each. If you wanted to, you could do 40 times by 50 to give you the answer of how many pence they've spent. Alright? Or you could figure out that 50p is half a pound. You understand that? 50p is half a pound. Yeah? If the cakes were a pound each and they'd made 40, what would it be? £40. But they didn't. They spent half that. They made half that. So what did they make? They made £20 because they made half of that. So they brought in, their income was 20, their outlay was 11. What's their profit?
£17. £9. Oh.
Try again. 20 take away 11?
Oh. 9.
9. Congratulations. The time question. What a surprise. There will be a time question. This one is about flights from Cardiff. It leaves at 0655, which is 5 to 7 or 6:55. Arrives in Cardiff at 8:10. That's a long flight. Must be quite a slow plane, that. It's only over the water. How many minutes does the flight last? Okay, so we've got 6:55. That should be the big hand. This should be the little hand. How many minutes is it to take us from 6:55 to 7 o'clock? How many?
5.
Can we wake up? How many minutes is it? 5 minutes to take us to 7 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So 5 minutes later, it's 7 o'clock, right? How many minutes are there in an hour?
60.
Another 60 minutes takes us to 8 o'clock. How many minutes left to get us to 8:10?
10 minutes.
Right? So, what is 5 add 60 add 10? 75. Next one's about a nursery. There must be at least one adult for every 8 children. Okay? So you've got your one adult looking after 8 little ones. Each dot represents a child. Okay? Little one. Little dot, little child. And it says for 48 children, there must be at least so many adults. Okay? What's the rule?
One adult every 8 children.
Every 8. Okay? So 48 in total. Something 8 will give you your answer. What have you got to do? What symbol am I missing? Divide by, because you're dividing it into groups. Okay? You need to find out how many groups there are to find out how many adults there are. Each adult looks after 8. Okay? So they're in groups of 8. Yeah? Imagine us all lined up in the hall with an adult at the front and then 8 children behind each adult. Can you imagine that in your head?
Yes.
Yeah? So if we put 48 in there and we put them into lines of 8, then we'll find out how many adults we need. Okay? So 48 divided by 8 equals what? 6. Next one is straightforward. It is an area of a rectangle. To work out the area of a rectangle, you multiply the width by the height. So to find this area, we do 7 times 3 equals... Pardon? 21 centimetres squared. If you were struggling, you could potentially draw this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You could draw the squares like that and count them if you were struggling. Or you could count up in threes so you got to 7 on your fingers. Whichever way you do it, the answer is 21. Similar to a place value question, really, this one. So 360 divided by 20. Now that, on the face of it, looks quite a difficult sum. You can make it easier. 360 divided by 20. When you've got a 0 on both sides, they cancel each other out. So the sum can come a little bit easier. It is the same as doing that, which is 36 divided by 2. What is the answer? Pardon?
18.
18. Good. Alright. Next one. 40 multiplied by 20. 40 multiplied by 20. Yes, we've got zeros all over the place, but we kind of need them. What you can do with this one, how many zeros have we got?
2.
What you can do is you can cancel them out, but you have to put them into your answer. So you put both the zeros in your answer. Now you're left with 4 times 2.
6. 8.
Tell you what, you come out with some silly answers. That's twice you've done that. What's the answer?
8.
8. Don't make the silly mistake of adding it when it's a multiply. 4 lots of 2. 4 lots of 2 is 800. 4 lots of, multiply 40 by 20 is 800. Let's just check it. Let's just check because you made a silly mistake. What if it was 30 by 20? If we put the 2 zeros in our answer, we're left with 3 times 2.
600.
You did it again?
Oh my god, I did.
You did it again. You made the same mistake. You went to say 5. Let's do it again. Let's do 50 times 20. So we put our zeros in our answer, and we're left with 5 times 2. 10. We put the 10 in there, it becomes 1,000. Well done. The correct answer this time. Right, we've just done these in class, so you should be absolutely amazing at these. Hopefully. 2/3 of 60 equals. Remember how we did it? What do we do? Oh, come on. 2 weeks off sleeping and eating Easter eggs. We go backwards through it. We do 60 divided by 3 multiplied by 2 gives us the answer. 60 divided by 3, what's the answer to the bracket? 20. Multiply that by 2. 40. That goes in there. A little bit tricky with the numbers in the next one. 4/7. I'll do it in black, slightly different colours. 4/7 of 28. We write the numbers backwards again. 28 divided by,
7.
multiplied by 4. What's 28 divided by 7?
7.
Nope. What's 28 divided by 7? 4. Multiplied by 4?
8.
Pardon?
16.
Tell you what. 16. Right, this one will be tricky. The reason it's tricky is because I haven't covered it yet in the lessons. And if I haven't covered it yet in the lessons, it won't be in your memory. It won't be in your mind. All right? So we've got some symbols up at the top. If you've got this right, you've done well. Because like I say, I haven't covered it yet this year. You've got this symbol, and this symbol. Probably the only one that you recognise quickly is this one. What's that one? Equals, which means the same as, obviously. What's this one? Pardon? Less than. Well done. What's this one? More than. Good. So you're not too bad. Not too bad. So 50 metres is something to 0.5 kilometres. How many metres are there in a kilometre? 1,000. So if it's 0.5 kilometres, that's half a kilometre. So how many metres is that going to be? 500 metres. So is that right? Is it equals it? No. So 50 metres is something 500 metres. What should go in there? Shout it. Less than. Good. Less than. Alright. Supposed to be straight lines. Dodgy pen again. Next one. 50 metres is something 5,000 centimetres. How many centimetres are there in a metre? 100. At the moment, there is an invisible decimal point there. If we are dividing by 100, how many zeros, or how many places I should say, does a decimal point move to the left? 2. Because that's how many zeros we've got. So it goes into there. So then that would equal then 50 metres. We've got 50 metres on this side, 50 metres on that side. What symbol are we going to use? The equal sign. Good. Question 17, take 2. So there is pretty much guaranteed to have addition of decimals or subtraction of decimals in there. And they're never going to make it straightforward for you by putting it in like column addition, setting it up like that. They're always going to make you do a little bit of work. This question, they've kind of made you do 2 lots of work. One of them is they're asking you to add it up, and so you're going to set it up like a column addition. The second one is there isn't 100 there, there's only a 10th. So they're trying to catch you out a little bit. But you're not going to fall for it. Are you? No. So that is the sum. What is there here but you just can't see it? A 0. Because there's no point writing it because it doesn't mean anything. So that's why it's not being written. But it does mean something when you start adding them up, because there is something else in that column there. There is a 9 in this number. So let's do it. Column addition. 0 add 9. 1 add 9.
10.
Carry the 1. 0 add 0 add 1. So the answer 1.09. What is the cost of 300 grams of broccoli? So, it's £1.20 for a kilogram. Okay? £1.20 for a kilogram. £1.20 would be 1 kg. How many grams are there in a kilogram? 1,000. How many 100 grams are there in a kilogram? How many 100 grams are there? So if there's 1,000, if there's 1,000 grams, how many hundreds are there in 1,000? There's 10. There's 10. Good, there is 10. So if we're going to divide this side by 10, we're going to get 100 grams. We need to divide this side by 10. When we're dividing by 10, the decimal point moves. Which way does it move if we're dividing? Does it move to the left and make the number smaller, or does it move to the right and make the number bigger if we're dividing? Smaller, to the left. So the decimal point's going to move one place to the left. So now we've got 0.12 equals 100 grams. So this is still in pounds over here. If it was in pence, what would that be? 12 pence. So 12p gets you 100 grams of broccoli. And we want 300 grams. So what do we need to do to this number to get to 300? Times it by 3. So we're going to get 300 there. Whatever we've done to this side, we need to do to this side. What's 12 times 3?
36.
36. So the answer, 36. If 1 kilometre equals 5/8 of a mile, what do 3 kilometres equal? Something else. This is something else which, if you've got this right, you've done really well, because I haven't covered it yet this year. Alright, we've done fractions of quantities. We haven't covered this yet. It's a mixed number. So a mixed number is wholes. How many wholes and how many like fraction bits? Alright? So, let's have a look at the maths involved. 1 kilometre equals 5/8 of a mile. Alright? Better write mile because it looks like meters. 1 kilometre equals 5/8 a mile. What do 3 kilometres equal? So if we're going for 3 kilometres, what have we done to 1 to get to 3? Times it by 3. So this side we need to times it by 3. So we've got 5/8 multiplied by 3. What's 5 times 3?
15.
15. So we've got 15 over 8. Right? Let's just shrink that down and then I'll be able to explain it. Let's think of it again as a cake. How many have I split my cake up into? 4 quarters. How about now? 8. Good. And we want 15 eighths. Right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many cakes have I just eaten? How many cakes? 1. I've just ate 1 whole cake. Alright? And I've eaten 8 eighths. Okay? And I want to eat 15. So on this cake on this side, slightly different shape cake. It's a bit wonky. I've eaten 8 up to now. That's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've had my 15 eighths of my cake, leaving 1 slice behind. I don't think I'd ever do that. But I have this time. So that means I have eaten 1 cake and 7 eighths. Can you see how I've got it now in whole numbers and a fraction?
Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
Very, very tricky, especially when your teacher hasn't covered it yet. 1, 7, 8. Data handling, kind of, maybe not, maybe more just like graph reading a scale, this one is. So it says the temperature rises from 50 Fahrenheit to 70 Fahrenheit. How many C's does it rise? So 50 Fahrenheit is here. 70 Fahrenheit is here. Okay? So didn't mean to do that one. What we need to do is we need to read up the scale here to find out the temperature in Celsius when it gets to 50. What's the temperature in Celsius when it gets to 50? Pardon? 10. And then we do the same here. We read up to 70. And it gets to there. Bit more difficult number to read because it's in the middle. Oh, that's quite straight. Done quite well there. What's that one?
21.
It's 21, isn't it? Because it's going up in 4s, so halfway there would be 22. So that's 21. So it says, how many C's does it rise? So if it starts at 10 and gets to 21, your sum is basically 21 take away 10, which equals 11. I just noticed that's worth 5 marks. 21 take away 10 is worth 5 marks. What on? Oh no, it's not. It's worth 2. I thought that was worth 5. It means that whole double page is worth 5. Fair enough. If it's only worth 2, easy peasy that one. What a funny question. How many 99s are there in 5,000? What a strange question. What is 99 really like? Very, very close to 100. So if we're rounding and we're estimating, we can say that 99 is kind of like 100, basically. All right. So how many 100 are there in 1,000? 10. So there's 10 in 1,000. So if there's 10 in 1,000, how many are there in 5,000?
50.
Brilliant. Well done. Easy peasy. Override. Right, giraffe question. Work out the mean height of the 3 giraffes. When you're working out the mean is another word for in maths. What's it another word for?
Adding up and dividing by how many there are.
Good, which is another word for
Addition.
averages. There we go. It's been a while. Averages. So it says work out the mean height of the 3 giraffes. The mean means average, which Kieran has said. You're adding up the 3 heights and you're dividing by however many you've added up. How many have we added up? 3. So it is 5.2 add 4.8 add 5.3. So we're going to add up the 10th column first. 2 add 8 add 3. 13. Carry it over. Carry the 1 over. 5 add 4 add 5 add 1. 15. So that's the total. 15.3 meters. Now we need to divide it by 3. If you want to do the bus stop method, you can. How many times does 3 go into 1? 0. You carry it over. How many times does 3 go into 15? Pardon? 5 times. No remainder. How many times does 3 go into 3? 1. So the answer, 5.1 meters. Oh, number sequences. We like number sequences. Easy to score highly. Here is a rule for a number sequence. Subtract 10 and divide by 2. So these numbers have all been subtracted 10 and divided by 2. So this number here, when you've subtracted 10 and then divided by 2, is given the answer 38. So like I've said before, we need to go backwards through this sentence. So 38, and we're not going to divide by 2, we're going to what by 2? Multiplied by 2 equals 76. And we're not going to subtract 10, we are going to add 10 to give us a number 86. Get it? Good. Now we're going to do it the other way now. So now we've got 2. And we've got to subtract 10. What's 2 subtract 10? Minus 8. Good. Divide that by 2. No. Minus 4. It is minus 4. Minus 8 divided by 2, half of minus 8. You think of it like half of minus 8. You're not multiplying. You're not going further down the number line. You're halving it. You get it? So you're halving it from 0. So what's halfway between 0 and minus 8? Minus 4. Right, percentages. The pie chart shows how often it was booked. So 2015, 40 weeks there, 60% booked. 2016, 75% booked of the 40 weeks. Okay, and then the question is, how many more weeks were booked in 2016 compared to 2015? All right? There's a couple of different ways actually thinking about it. I know this is take 2, so let's just thinking about it now. What's 75% take away 60%? 15%. It's 15%. All right? So what we need to work out is really what is 15% of 40? And that'll give us the answer. All right? That will give us the same answer as we were trying to work out before. So 15% of 40. Let me just shrink this down a little bit. Shrink that down. Move this up. 15% of 40 equals 40. So what we need to do is we need to divide it by 100 first, and that will give us 1% of 40. Okay? That'll give us 1% if we divide by 100. So we're going to get 40. The decimal point is there at the minute, and we're going to divide by 100. If we're dividing, the number's going to get smaller, so it's going to go to the left. How many spaces? 2 spaces. So it's going to go from there, it's going to go to there. So the answer is 0.4. Okay? Equals 1%. But we don't want 1%, we want 15%. We've got 0.4, and we want 15 times it. The easiest way to do it is to multiply it by 10. If we're multiplying by 10, the decimal point's going to move again. If we're multiplying by 10, how many places to the right is it going to move? 1. It's going to move from there to there. So that is 4 is going to be equal to 10%. So if 4 is 10%, what's 15% going to be?
2.
You're on the right track. 2 is going to be equal to 5%. Sorry, 5%. So what's the total going to be? 6 is going to be it. Good stuff. Bit tricky that one, isn't it? Little bit. We'll do some more questions similar to that just to get you kind of warmed up, ready for that. But the answer is 6.